Thank you for making me ugly cry. It was it was such an emotional episode.
Oh, good. Wow, good. I'm glad to hear it. I mean, I'm sorry to do that, but I'm also glad to hear it.
And what jumped out at you? What made you say yes to it?
First of all, that it was Black Mirror was kind of probably wouldn't have been enough, because I really like that show and I like things like this. Um, there's a moment in it when she says he's really kind of hit a point, kind of in the middle of it, and he says, "I've sort of had it with this. This is not working." And she says, "Do you want to stop?" And he says, "No." And I thought that was kind of the moment that I went like, "This is cool. I like this. That this poor guy is so in conflict with himself about this." And I thought, what a cool way to dramatize somebody's conflict about stuff through the technology and all this stuff. I just thought, oh, it was really cool. I liked it.
Did you have any conversations then with Charlie about where you wanted it to go from there? Any changes you wanted to make?
I mean, when I got there to do it, I had another job before I had to do it. And so I didn't get a lot of time to talk to them until right before. We had a few days to rehearse, which was nice. And the only thing that needed to change was it was the diction of the character was British, written for an Englishman, I think, or at least when they first wrote it, it was sort of in an English idiom. And I was like, he doesn't sound American. That was the only thing that he was like, please, please, please change it to an American voice. So that was the only thing. Other than that, nothing needed to be changed. I had nothing to offer except just getting out of the way of it and letting it play itself when we had to do it.
What about the scenes when you were just sitting there when she was a voice in your head? How was that staged? Was she actually reading to you?
Yes, she was there. She was sitting in the corner, and which was great. I mean, there might be a lot of actors who wouldn't have done that, but she did it. And, I wouldn't have expected anything else from her. But it was great to have her there. So it was never like I was alone, really. And I had not quite realized how much I was alone in it when I first read it. When we came to rehearse it, to shoot it, I suddenly thought, oh my God, there's a good 2/3 of this, 3/4 of this, I'm alone in here.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like it once we did it. It didn't feel like that at all once we did it.
How does that compare for you to other performances? I mean, it really feels like it's a two-hander for the two of you. How did you build that chemistry?
It is a two-hander, and it did feel like a play, and it was really fortunate that I was doing it with her. I mean, she's an amazing actress, and she's a person who, I mean, the chemistry thing is always, it's my job is to have chemistry with people, and then some people you just do immediately, and she and I just sort of did immediately. I mean, we just kind of hit it off immediately, and it was really lovely to be with her. I'm so happy it was her doing it. It made it so fun and easy to do.
How did you calibrate your performance throughout? I mean, obviously he goes through such an emotional arc throughout all of it. Knowing where it was going to go, how did you measure that?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's in the writing already, I mean, I could see it in the writing. And so there's a way in which it's almost like it's a temperature chart or something, it's like it was really clear where things are happening and he goes up or down and he gets upset or doesn't. And, it's really good writing.
Was there a specific note they gave you or direction they gave you that was helpful?
I think actually an interesting thing was that, his life is okay. I mean, he's not like suicidally miserable or something, I mean, like he's okay. They were like, he starts in a place where he's okay. He gets taken somewhere he doesn't want to go. And he opens all this stuff up, and then he's kind of not okay. And then he's sort of okay again by the end, I think. I think he's more okay maybe by the end. But it was an interesting thing for them saying to me, the starting point is not one of miserableness, which was helpful, and it was like, he's okay. He's got his life. He prunes his roses. He's got some kind of job, and he's lived in this nice place, and he's okay. I mean, it's like he's reached a kind of middle-aged contentment, he's okay.
Did you shoot it sequentially?
Once we got to me alone in the room, we had to go back. Then that was in sequence. But the other stuff was sort of out of sequence. So no, and sort of, not really.
I was just curious again, just for the arc of
It's always curious, that thing, like where you have to start. I mean, I've done things that just did a movie where I had to do the last scene first, and it's like crazy, but you have to do that. But it was a mix.
What do you think of the end of the episode? I've read that, some interviews of you talking about it. What's your takeaway of it?
How do you mean the end? The sort of funeral?
The funeral.
Yeah, I mean, I came out of when I saw the actual piece put together, I found it much more hopeful than it was on the page to me when I first read it.
Mhm.
And when we were actually doing it. And I thought, oh, this is terrible what this poor guy is kind of being forced to do. and but then when I saw it, I thought it maybe isn't, it was much more positive than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's strange that everybody's sitting there with this thing in their head all zoned out at the end. He's the one person who's not, though, which is kind of cool because he doesn't need it. He sees her again, he finds her again, but in that moment then also knows that it's gone and it's all gone and she's dead and it's all gone and it's all the past. And, so it's both sad and good for him, I suppose.
Why did he agree to participate in this thing that he knows is going to be painful for him? But maybe the scars are so deep that he doesn't.
That's what I mean. That's why that moment of my saying, no, I don't want to stop was so interesting to me.
Right.
Because I was like, that's why it's like, that's the thing, is that it's like, that's that strange thing that we have. That's like, I can't stop picking at this scab.
Right.
Can't, and when he says, I haven't thought about it in a long time, I'm not sure that that's true. He can't quite see her the way he'd like to, or he can't remember it. He can't remember what was real about it, what she really was like, anymore. But there's that picking at the scab thing is kind of, the other thing that I found interesting is that thing of why does he do it in the first place?
Right.
I actually said to them, this is so strange. Does there need to be some moment of, but then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, it's the interesting thing about this technology is that we just obey it. Somebody hands it to you and goes, here's this thing. And you just go, oh, right. I guess I have to use this thing now. I guess I have to do this thing. Well, they sent it to me. I guess I have to do it. I mean, there is something about him that's kind of obedient to stuff. And one of the things that was very interesting, how many times I apologized to her. I get mad and then I say, I'm sorry, right after I get mad. And they wanted to cut those at first because Charlie said, maybe that's too much. I said, no, it's great that he keeps apologizing, that there's something about him that feels very sort of like he's, so there's this kind of agreement to do it because he's just a good guy. Like, okay, sure, I'll do it because somebody needs me to do this. But there's also that way in which the technology is gently coercive like that. Like we just obey these things now. We just figure we have to do what they tell us to do.
And it's hard to just stop yourself and be in the moment. But then that brings us back to the question about the funeral. So there he is at the funeral, and he's the one person in the moment where everyone else is got the thing on their heads.
He and him are in the moment. What she knows about it, I don't know. And there's this ambiguous look she sort of gives me at the end, which I think is interesting too. Like, how much does she know about what happened? The actual daughter, as opposed to the avatar.
What's the message for you from the episode? Is it about technology? Is it about emotion? Or is it just, is it really just asking the question?
I think it's just asking the questions. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, certainly it's all about sort of regret and grief and, is it better to, I keep thinking of this short story I read that I can't remember the title of it, which is all about a technologist offender where you can remember everything. You can remember everything from the second you're born until up until the present moment. And the whole point in that story is it good to actually remember everything? Maybe we're meant to forget. Maybe we're meant to misremember. Maybe we have to have the narrative wrong sometimes. Maybe we shouldn't know when we were right or wrong, And so there's that question about it too in this one. Would he have been better off just not going back to it? Did it really serve some sort of purpose? So I do think it does ask that question about stuff like that. But then I also just hope it's a kind of moving story. It's like, nice melancholy story about a guy who's given a second chance to. It's sort of a time travel story and sort of a ghost story too, which I thought was kind of cool.
Do you think he's the better for it at the end?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. I think he comes out better. I'm sure there's people who look at it and think he's not, but I think he is.
You mentioned you're a Black Mirror fan. How does it compare to other Black Mirror episodes that you liked?
Oh, I don't know. I can't. I mean, I'm unable to judge my own thing in that way. I mean, I liked it. I love the Twilight Zone and stuff like that. And when I got this episode, one of the things I also liked about it is it reminded me, when I was a kid, I never liked the more kind of melancholy episodes that were more sort of nostalgic, you know, like Jack Klugman's The Trumpet Player Gets a Second Chance and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, sure. Now as I'm older, I like those ones more. And it's like, so I think I liked that it was different feeling, somewhat different. There's other episodes that are sort of in this same vein of this kind of melancholy, sort of gentler sort of thing like this. But I liked that about it. So I think it fits in that realm of Black Mirror nicely, of those episodes that are a little bit more not exactly the techno horror or whatever you'd call it that his stuff usually is.
How do you feel about technology overall?
I don't love it. I mean, I'm not. It's funny. I'm not a big technophile. It's like I I do it because it's there, and now we all have to do it. I don't know. I go back and forth about being freaked out by it and thinking maybe it'll be a good thing. I mean, right now, it's pretty creepy and menacing, and it's as bad as the people. It's only as bad as the people using it. I can't help but think that at some point in the future, it might develop into something very interesting and maybe very good and maybe very useful. But we don't even know what that is yet, and at some point it could become something really great. I don't know.
What makes you say yes to a part in general? Is it the writing?
Yeah, I think the writing's probably a big part of it. The story really is a lot of it. Like, is it an interesting story? Is it just a story that makes me want to keep reading it? And it really is the paramount thing. The character's sort of secondary. It just needs to be an interesting character too, but the story, it's just like, I like a good story. And that's what I like about this anthology thing, these little short stories.
And do you prefer film to TV to theater? Is there one format that appeals to you more than any other?
Well, theater's the thing I like the most, but it's the hardest, and I stopped doing it about 10 years ago. Been done a play in about 10 years. I mean, theater's the best, but it's the hardest in a lot of ways. And so, I found that I enjoyed like doing a TV series more than I thought I was going to, because it was like it was a slightly different play every week. You know what I mean? It was cool in that way. It was a little bit both movies and plays combined in some interesting way. I thought that was kind of cool.
I know you've got the Downton movie coming back. You said that you were surprised to be coming back to it. So what can you reveal about it? Anything you can tell us?
Significant character. I was a really, really marginal character. So I was a little bit like, you really want me to come back? And then I actually do something, I'm not in it a whole lot, but I do something of great significance. I was like, wow, you're actually putting a lot on this character who had nothing to do with anything. But I loved doing that show the first time around. The people are so great. And I love stuff like that. I love period stuff like that. And I get anything like that, I'm a sucker for. So I was really happy to go back and do it.
It must have been fun to revisit that world.
And I actually got to be in the house this time. The last time
they let you in?
Yeah. So, but they were actually in the place, because the last time when I did it, they were at their house in town or whatever. They weren't at Downton Abbey. So I never got to be in the actual place. This time I did, which was good.
Before I let you go, I know you're also going to be in the Star Trek Starfleet Academy series. Well, what appealed to you about that one?
I love science fiction. I love Star Trek. I'm been a big Star Trek fan. That Twilight Zone and Star Trek and all that kind of stuff since I was a little kid. So they came to me with a really great part to play in this really good series. Talk about good writing. It was really good. And Holly Hunter plays the captain. I was like, I can't say no to this. It was really fun.
What can you reveal about your character?
I'm a bad guy. I'm a very bad guy. That's what I can reveal. I'm just a bad guy.
Do you enjoy being the bad guy?
Yeah. Yeah. I like being the bad guy. I don't get to play so many out and out bad guys often, which is good. I play sort of ambiguous people often, but I get to play like an out and out bad guy.